What is the most desperate thing you or a person you know have done just to get laid?
Learned and then helped a girl do CAD project for her mechanical engineering degree. I'm not even an engineer. Edit. Yes, I did get laid.
Was at a party with my buddy and we were both hitting on the same girl. She suggested we have a dance-off and whoever wins would get to know her a little better. Had the dance-off in front of 30 people, she left about 10 minutes later. No one won that day.
One of my friends started smoking in his 20s, just so he could take smoke breaks with a girl he liked at work. She was a lesbian, so he got none. He still smokes 20 years later.
I pretended to be interested in Persian poetry. She read from the book for 2.5 hours, looking up to gauge my reaction every 30 seconds or so. I don't speak a single word of Farsi.
Took a flight to Malta 2,000 kilometers to spend 2 days with a girl I've spoken on Tinder after she told me to come the previous day. Most committed booty call ever. Spend 6 hours putting together IKEA furniture. I didn't get laid lol.
Flew across the country to spend a weekend with an ex. She had been messaging me for weeks about how she missed me. She was hot and great in bed, and all it took was a weekend to remember how batshit crazy she was.
Thirsty as fuck guy wasn't understanding no means no and sent me a picture message of his arm, covered in fresh, bleeding self-harm cuts, saying he might just have to end it all if I kept refusing to go out with fuck him. I called 911. And asked them to perform a welfare check and made it clear he had a knife, was cutting, and was threatening suicide. He apparently didn't know that sort of shit earns you a mandatory 72-hour trip to the hospital. Fuck you, Brian.
Married her, literally married a woman just to get laid, not because he actually loved her. Honestly, they barely knew each other. Spoiler alert, it didn't last.
Took a 400-mile drive for a sexual intercourse that only lasted 45 seconds. Doesn't matter. Had sex. I traveled over 800 kilometers on a train for a weekend with this one girl. But TBH it was 10 tenths and would do it again.
Right after my divorce I drove 3 hours from Fort Lauderdale to the Keys for a date. At first I thought she stood me up. 45 minutes late, she said she had a work emergency. Sounded like bullshit, but it was already nearly 8 p.m. and I was at a dive bar in Islamorada. So I said fuck it, I'll get drunk and sleep in my car. My love life was a wreck at the time and I was just looking for distractions. She eventually showed up. It actually was a work emergency. We had a wonderful night and it was a very noteworthy sexual experience. But I had about 2 hours of feeling like a total pathetic loser before she got there. It was rough.
I sprinted 2 miles when a girl texted me she was down, but she's sleepy and might go to bed soon.
Paid for Tinder Platinum. Didn't work well.
Got married.